The Testament of Zebulun, the sixth son of Jacob and Leah. Introduction. Zebulun's account of the selling of Joseph. The copy of the words of Zebulun, which he enjoined on his sons before he died, in the 114th year of his life, 2 years after the death of Joseph. And he said to them, Hearken, ye sons of Zebulun, attend to the words of your father. Zebulun said he was born a good gift to his parents, for when he was born his father was increased very exceedingly, both in flocks and herds, when with the straight rods he had his portion. Zebulun said he was not conscious if he had sinned all the days of his life, save in thought, nor yet did he remember if he had any iniquity, except the sin of ignorance, which he committed against Joseph. For he covenanted with his brethren not to tell their father what had been done. But he wept in secret many days on the account of Joseph. For he feared his brethren, because they had all agreed that if anyone should declare the secret, he should be slain. But when they wished to kill him, he adjured them much with tears, not to be guilty of this sin. For Simeon and Gad came against Joseph to kill him. Joseph asked his brethren to pity him, and have mercy upon the bowels of Jacob their father, and to not shed innocent blood. Joseph said he had not sinned against them, and if indeed he had sinned, with chastening chastise him. He told his brethren, but lay not upon him their hands, for the sake of Jacob their father. And as he spoke these words, wailing as he did so, he was unable to bear his lamentations, and began to weep, and his liver was poured out, and all the substance of his bowels was loosened. And Zebulun wept with Joseph, and his heart was sounded, and the joints of his body trembled, and he was not able to stand. And when Joseph saw him weeping with him, and them coming against him to slay him, he fled behind Zebulun, beseeching them. But meanwhile Reuben rose and said, Come, my brethren, let us not slay him, but let us cast him into one of these dry pits, which our fathers digged and found no water. For this cause the overseer forbade that water should rise up in them, in order that Joseph should be preserved. And they did so, until they sold him to the Ishmaelites. Zebulun said, For in his price he had no share. But Simeon and Gad, and 6 other of their brethren, took the price of Joseph, and bought sandals for themselves, and their wives, and their children, saying, They will not eat of it, for it is the price of their brother's blood, but that they would assuredly tread it underfoot, because he said that he would be king over them. And so they said they would see what will become of his dreams. Therefore it is written in the writing of the law of Moses, that whosoever will not raise up seed to his brother, his sandal should be unloosed, and they should spit into his face. And the brethren of Joseph wished not that their brother should live, and the overseer loosed from them the sandal which they wore against Joseph their brother. For when they came into Egypt, they were unloosened by the servants of Joseph outside the gate, and so they made obeisance to Joseph after the fashion of King Pharaoh. And not only did they make obeisance to him, but were spit upon also, falling down before him forthwith. And so they were put to shame before the Egyptians. For after this, the Egyptians heard all the evils that they had done to Joseph. And after Joseph was sold, his brothers sat down to eat and drink. But Zebulun, through pity for Joseph, did not eat, but watched the pit, since Judah feared lest Simeon, Dan, and Gad should rush off and slay him. But when they saw that Zebulun did not eat, they set Zebulun to watch him, till he was sold to the Ishmaelites. And when Reuben came and heard that while he was away Joseph had been sold, he rent his garments, and mourning said, How shall he look on the face of his father Jacob? And he took the money and ran after the merchants. But As he failed to find them, he returned grieving. But the merchants had left the broad road and marched through the troglodytes by a shortcut. But Reuben was grieved, and ate no food that day. Dan therefore came to him, and said, Weep not, neither grieve, for they have found what they can say to their father Jacob. They said, Let us slay a kid of the goats, and dip in it the coat of Joseph, and let us send it to Jacob, saying, No, is this the coat of thy son? And they did so. For they stripped off from Joseph his coat, when they were selling him, and put upon him the garment of a slave. Now Simeon took the coat, and would not give it up, for he wished to rend it with his sword, as he was angry that Joseph lived, and that he had not slain him. Then they all rose up, and said unto him, If thou givest not up the coat, they would say to their father, that thou alone didst this evil thing in Israel. And so he gave it unto them. And they did even as Dan had said. Zebulun's exhortation to his sons. Zebulun told his children to keep the commands of the overseer, and to show mercy to their neighbors, and to have compassion towards all, not towards men only, but also towards beasts. For this thing's sake the overseer gifted Zebulun. And when all his brethren were sick, he escaped without sickness, for the overseer knoweth the purposes of each. Have therefore compassion in your hearts, children, because even as a man doeth to his neighbor, even so also will the overseer do to him. For the sons of his brethren were sickening, and were dying on account of Joseph, because they showed not mercy in their hearts. But Zebulun's sons were preserved without sickness, as ye know. And when Zebulun was in the land of Canaan, by the sea coast, he made a catch of fish for Jacob his father. And when many were choked in the sea, he continued unhurt. Zebulun was the first to make a boat to sail upon the sea, for the overseer gave him understanding and wisdom therein. And he let down a rudder behind it, and he stretched a sail upon another upright piece of wood in the midst. And he sailed therein also the shores, catching fish for the house of his father until they came to Egypt. And through compassion, Zebulun shared his catch with every stranger. And if a man were a stranger, or sick, or aged, Zebulun boiled the fish, and dressed them well, and offered them to all men, as every man had need, grieving with and having compassion upon them. Wherefore also the overseer satisfied him with much abundance of fish when catching fish. For he that shareth with his neighbor receiveth manyfold more from the overseer. For 5 years Zebulun caught fish, and gave thereof to every man whom he saw, and sufficed for all the house of his father. And in the summer Zebulun caught fish, and in the winter he kept sheep with his brethren. Zebulun said he witnessed a man in distress through nakedness in winter time, and had compassion upon him, and stole away a garment secretly from his father's house, and gave it to him who was in distress. Zebulun told his children, From that which the Creator bestowed upon them, show compassion and mercy without hesitation to all men, and to give to every man with a good heart. And if ye have not the wherewithal to give to him that needed, have compassion for him in bowels of mercy. Zebulun said he knew that his hand found not the wherewithal to give to him that needed, and he walked with him weeping for 7 furlongs. And his bowels yearned towards him in compassion. Zebulun told his children to have compassion towards every man with mercy, that the overseer also may have compassion and mercy upon them. Because also in the last days the Most High will send his compassion on the earth, and wheresoever he findeth bowels of mercy, he dwelleth in him. For in the degree in which a man hath compassion upon his neighbors, in the same degree had the overseer also upon him. And when Zebulun and his brethren went down into Egypt, Joseph bore no malice against them. Zebulun told his children, Take heed, and live also without malice, and love one another, and do not set down in account, each one of you, evil against his brother. For this breaketh unity, and divideth all kindred, and troubleth the soul, and weareth away the countenance. Observe therefore the waters, and know, when they flow together, they sweep along stones, trees, earth, and other things. But if they are divided into many streams, the earth swallowed them up, and they become of no account. So shall ye also, if ye be divided. Be not ye therefore divided into two heads. For everything which the overseer made hath but one head, and 2 shoulders, 2 hands, 2 feet, but all the remaining members. Zebulun's prophecy concerning his posterity. Zebulun said he learnt in the writing of his fathers that ye shall be divided in Israel, and ye shall follow 2 kings, and shall work every abomination, and your enemies shall lead you captive, and ye shall be evil entreated among the Gentiles, with many infirmities and tribulations. And after these things ye shall remember the overseer and repent, and he shall have mercy upon you, for he is merciful and compassionate. And he set it not down in account evil against the sons of men, because they are flesh, and are deceived through their own wicked deeds. And after these things shall they arise unto you, the overseer himself, the light of righteousness, and ye shall return unto your own land, and ye shall see him in Jerusalem, for his name's sake. And again, through the wickedness of your works, shall ye provoke him to anger. And ye shall be cast away by him, unto the time of consummation. Zebulun's last words to his sons, his death and burial. Zebulun told his children, grieve not that he was dying, nor be cast down in that he was going to his end. Zebulun said he would arise again in the midst of them, as a ruler in the midst of his sons. And he shall rejoice in the midst of his tribe, and as many as shall keep the law of the overseer and the commandments of Zebulun, their father. Zebulun said, but he was now hastening away to his rest, as did also his fathers. But do ye fear the overseer, our Creator, with all your strength all the days of your life. And when he had said these things, he fell asleep, at a good old age, and his sons laid him in a wooden coffin. And afterwards they carried him up and buried him in Hebron with his fathers.